Have you been looking for a way to build and deploy AI agents without a huge upfront cost? Well, AWS just made a major announcement, which is about their newly released Bedrock AgentCore, their new all-in-one platform for creating enterprise AI agents. And the best part, they made it completely free until September 16th of 2025. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down what AgentCore is, then show exactly how it works by building a CloudOps assistant using AWS AgentCore in my AWS account. By the end, you'll understand the architecture that makes the AI agents useful for operations, not just for chatbots. And if you stay till the end, because I'm going to show you what I will be doing in future videos that will absolutely amaze you on what can be done with this AgentCore and your AWS environment. So let's get started by first checking out the info that is now out on AgentCore. My name is Dave Froz, and I'm an AI cloud consultant. I've been working in the cloud for over 15 years and have a great team that works with me on all sorts of web and AI development. So if you're looking for AI consulting, training, or development, cloud architecture, or security, or you just want to start your AI journey in the cloud, then click on my link below and schedule a time to talk with me. Okay, back to the video. Okay, so first what I want to do is go through, this is the new announcement introducing the Bedrock AgentCore, and I'll have this link down in the description as well, but you can see it up here. But basically what they show here is kind of what it includes. And what I want to highlight in this area is the AgentCore runtime. It's a low latency serverless environment. So what I do in this video is I run this on the Lambda functions. And then also I want to talk about the AgentCore memory, which manages the session and long-term. So you can have a knowledge base in this as well. It can also remember the conversation that's going on at the time. Also gives you step-by-step of what's going on right away with meta tag data, custom scoring, and so on. You have the identity, which enables AI agents to securely access AWS services and third-party tools. So this really does a great job of keeping it secure. It transforms the existing APIs. This is the key here, and AWS Lambda functions into an agent-ready tools, right? So there's no like API calls that you have to worry about. It's already kind of built in, and I'll show you that in this video as well. And then, of course, they have the AgentCore browser, which I really don't go into in this video, but at least you can see what it is. And then, of course, you got the interpreter. Now, let's just move on to the next one right here. You have the pay as you go. And what I'll show you right here is that the AgentCore, like I mentioned, is available for free till September 16th. And then it'll go from there. And basically, it's basically usage. But as you know, the nice thing about this is that you're using, for us, what I do right now is Lambda function. So I'm only paying for when I use it. So with usage, it's pretty nice. But you can check out the details here on the pricing and everything else. But very, very competitive. And then you can see here, they talk about the marketplace. So you can start putting if you build, an application or an AI that you want to put in the marketplace, you can put it here and then sell it. And then also they provide you with toolkits, which you can have here, which can be great toolkits for Python or whatever language you want to use. They give you some other ones. This is the marketplace. Sorry, I'm back on the marketplace again. And then you've got a developer's guide right here, which gives you a lot of information. This is a great way to kind of get yourself used to it. You can upload this to an AI agent yourself and just kind of look at help you through all that. And then, of course, they give you a repo as well. So that gives you kind of everything right here. So now we'll go ahead and jump in and I'll show you what I've built so far in my AWS environment.
Okay, so what I've done here is I just created a Streamlit user interface, and this is connected to my agent, right? So what I do is I'll take the agent ID, which I have in there, and then of course I have my API keys and so on, or not access keys, which I use as well. But this just shows you how it's set up. And then what we'll do is what I have right now, and I'll go into more detail here in just a second, but I just want to show you how it works, is that I have EC2, S3 Bucket, and CloudWatch. I have these three services kind of connected to the AI agent. And so that's what we're going to, that's what I have it set up for. So, for the first one, we'll just go in here and I forgot to initialize it. Okay, so initialize it now. So we're all set. And then I'll just go ahead and send it. And basically what this is doing is look at the US East 1. So what I have a EC2 set up in there right now, and I think I turned it off. Yeah, I turned it off. So the status is stopped. So at least it's nice. It shows you the public IPs. And now I can have it list more than this. Of course, I can change how it looks as well, but this is kind of what it's giving back. now we'll do is kind of check an S3 bucket, and my S3 bucket called, and I have one, let's see, right, yeah, AgentCore, CloudOps. And so this is the name of the bucket I have, and I'll show you that when I go into my AWS environment, but I'll go ahead and click that in and kind of see what happens. And what it's doing right now, it is setting up a Lambda function. So Lambda function is checking everything and it's replying back. And so here you can see the bucket shows locations, the region contains one object, total storage, and and so on. So, and I can always say, tell me more about the S3 bucket. Let's go maybe like in regards to size. Yeah, my type is terrible. And then we'll go here, in a bucket, and then let's go comma, CloudOps. Let's check this out. Okay, we'll just kind of see what it gives back. I haven't done this before, so I'm not sure what it's going to bring back, but it'll be interesting to see what it does here. So this appears to be a relatively small bucket with minimal storage. So there you go. So keep in mind that this is not really a chat agent, so it's not made to go back and forth, but it'll at least give you an idea of the question you ask and then reply back. And then the next one will be, we'll go with a CloudWatch. CloudWatch, we'll just kind of see what's happened here. Let's see what it gives back. So once again, it's checking the Lambda function. It's going to work. Okay, no errors or warnings were detected. So there you go, in the past 24 hours. And you can say, tell me the past 2 hours, what's going on. And of course, the more you have connected to CloudWatch, the more information you're going to get from this as well. So anyway, so at least you have an idea of it. I just want to show you a user interface that's outside of AWS, how it can work, how you can set up user interface and use all the functions of your AI agent somewhere else. Okay, so now let's go into the AWS console and check everything out there. So here we are in the AWS account here. So now we're going to do is I'm in Amazon Bedrock right now, and I'm going to go down to agents, right? And so what you have to be aware of, of course, is your location. I did this in the East, so we'll go and do this here. And I have one's called CloudOps Assistant. So I've already created this, and we'll go ahead and click into here, and we can kind of see how it's all set up here. The main things I would just want to show you here is that you've got your how everything's set up. And really, there's not much you can tag it. And I go into more detail on this, the versions and so on. So like if you could make something, then if you want to make some changes, you can do the versioning and aliases and so on. But I kept this pretty simple. So basically what we'll do is we'll just kind of go in here to the edit agent builder so you can kind of see how it works. And I'm going to drag myself over here. And so you can see that you can test it here. So I showed you a little bit ago how you can do it in the Streamlit, but you can also do it right here. So here it is right here. You can do the description. And what I've done is I've chosen Cloud 3.5, but you can see there's all sorts of ones you can put in here. Amazon, Anthropic. These are all ones that are just kind of made for this, but you can actually do request more. You can choose other ones and so on. So I just went with Anthropic for now. And then what we have here is we have that, and then my prompt that I put in here. This is a pretty simple prompt. Like I said, this has EC2, logs, and S3. Just kind of tells you that, and you can put more or less into here depending on. I've played with different prompts. Some are giving me better. I'm still playing with the prompts, so this just kind of gives you an idea of how that works. And then what I want to show you is the action groups. So you can have several different action groups, which I go into in my next videos. We add more action groups because basically what we're doing is we're building more Lambda functions based on services. But for right now, I put the 3 services into one Lambda function. And so that's where you kind of go in here in action groups. And then memory, like I said, this is a memory where you can have a short-term memory like you would in any other kind of chat bot. You would have that here. We have it disabled right now because I really don't need it. And then this is where you can build the knowledge base. And this is where you can do a lot of different stuff here in the knowledge base. So you can create the knowledge base in here. You can add guardrails that you want, and which can definitely help out, especially in an enterprise environment. And then you can do multi-agent collaboration as well. So this is big too, and I go into this in more detail as well in another video. So let's go into the CloudOps tools. Like I said, this is the action groups. And so what I've done here in the action groups is we're using the API schemas. There's other ways you can do this as well. And right now I just use the OpenAPI, and this is how we're working this. And then I created a Lambda function, which I'll go to here in a second.
And that Lambda function is called the CloudOps Assistant tool. So we selected that from here. And then here, this is the big thing. This is kind of like the tools. So like if you're familiar with the AI agents, using N8N or something like that, these are kind of like telling the AI agent what tools are available, right? So you have list the EC2. If you want to list the EC2, it just tells you, what to do and how to ask for it. So this is kind of what it does here. So this is kind of like the list of all the tools or that are available to the AI agent to get the information you need. So when I tell the agent that I want an EC2 instance, or tell me all the EC2 instances in the US East, then it'll go ahead and it knows to go and it can get it here, and here's how to do it, right? So this is how it does. This is the schema. This can get, of course, can get pretty large. You can do several different ones. You can see here's one for this part of it as well. So this kind of goes into more detail on how this is all done. Okay, and then the Lambda function. Here's my Lambda function here. Here's the CloudOps Assistant tool. I have that in here, and then of course you can see that we can go in here and check out the code. Now, like I said, in this video, I don't want to go into the code because I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about here. But basically, usual stuff that we're adding in here with the Bodo 3 and so on. But this kind of tells you what needs to be done, and I'll go into a little bit more detail in a second. But I just want to kind of show you this is the Lambda function. This is how it works, and of course, all the testing and everything else and monitoring can all be done here. You can test it, monitor the output, what's been done. You can view the CloudWatch logs and all that, which I talk about in other videos as well. So that's all here that you can test. Okay, let me just show you a quick demo of how this all works as well. So we've got everything set up here. We just checked out. Let me go back here to the agent part of it. I'll move me over here, and then we can just go here and then go ahead and test this, right? So we can go here like we just did before. Actually, let's go real quick. Let me just go into let's go here and just check out this EC2 that I have. We're in the East, right? So let's just go here and let's just get this running again. So what we had before is we had that it wasn't running, right? So let's go ahead and start this up and have it running, and then we'll go from there. And let's just say, see if we can name some files or something in this AgentCore. And we'll see how that works. So let's go here while that's running. So let's say S3 bucket. So what files are in the S3 bucket called? And we'll just go there. We'll see what this goes back, and then so it should. We can kind of look at this, and here you can see the trace. It shows everything that's going on here. It's kind of thinking right now, so you can see that. And then so you could say one object located. So there's one object located in there, and then we can go here, and then you can go into the show trace, and you can take a look at that as well. And it kind of gives you information of what's going on, what happened, the trace, the steps that it took, right? So you can see all that that's in here. And really, this is kind of interesting when you look at the cloud logs to identify errors. Kind of goes through the whole prompt area and then kind of what it's looking at. And I go into more detail this when we go dive deeper into the code and everything else. But you can see exactly, the API path that it took was to get the S3 bucket information, which is what it was supposed to do, right? So, and then it came back with that. So this is kind of a nice little tool to have as well. Okay, so now let's go. Let's see. I think we have probably my EC2s probably should be running. So let's see how many EC2s are running in US East -1. Okay, so let's go ahead and check that out and see what it says. That should be running now. So it should say one's running and then give me the information on that. Okay, there's one running EC2 instance, and let's say it's let's just say 5F8D, and let's take a look at that. And there it is, 5F8FD, right? So that gives you all the information. So there you go. So now you can see what's working, what's not. We could go into any CloudWatch errors in the past 24 hours. And we can kind of see what kind of goes back there. So once again, it's failed API response execution, retry request later. So, okay, so I do get this every once in a while. I definitely got this a lot when I was running Nova. So I need to check this out more, but and we can look at the trace and I can run the error code. At least you can kind of see what happens here. And sometimes this does happen, so I found I had more success with Cloud 2, the 3.5 than I did with the Nova tools. But anyway, this kind of came up every once in a while. It could be how I worded it or whatever. But okay, let's say maybe let me try a different way of wording this. I'm going to grab this from one I did before. Let's see what it comes back with here. Okay, here we go. So I found 2 errors in the last 24 hours with CloudOps Assistant, resource not found. This should be investigated to ensure proper logging configuration, right? So this kind of gives you more information. I actually ran the same thing just because I ran it before on our deal here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. I put that in here and see here with my changed a little bit different, but I put it in here. It says found the last 24 hours, gave me the timestamp, verified the Lambda function has proper IAM permissions, confirm all reference log groups exist, and so on. So it gave me a little bit more information when I ran it through my Streamlit user interface, right? So this kind of gives you different ideas there. So anyway, so now you get the idea of how it's used, how to test it here, and make sure it's working before you move on to the next level or next stage. Okay, so before I move on, I just wanted to kind of go through everything we just did. So most people think that AI agents are magic, but it's actually a structured programming. So here's the flow. You have the user question, you have the AI agent, then it goes to the tool selection, then we go to the AWS API, get the real data, and then we have a natural response back. So when I ask about EC2 instances, the agent doesn't guess, right? So there's no hallucination or anything that's involved in this. It calls the actual EC2 API, gets real data, and then formats it naturally. So I'm going to break this down into 3 components. So I'm going to use kind of like a restaurant analogy here. So component 1 is the schema, which is the menu, right? So this JSON file is like a restaurant menu. It tells the agent what tools are available and how to use them, right? Okay, and then the component 2 is the Lambda function, which is actually the kitchen, right? So these Python functions are like the kitchen. They do actual work of calling AWS APIs and processing that data, okay? And then we move on to component 3, which of course is the Bedrock agent, which is called the waiter, right? And then the waiter, the agent is like it's like a waiter, and it reads the menu, takes your order, routes it to the right kitchen, and serves the results, right? So there you go. So this architecture uses something called, it's kind of like the MCP in a way, which you hear a lot about right now, which is kind of the new buzzword, and it's the Model Context Protocol. And it's not a separate service, it's the standard that defines how AI agents communicate with tools, right? Which we have there. So then we have the OpenAPI schema, which is the MCP interface, which tells Claude what tools exist. And we have the Lambda function, which is an MCP implementation which actually executes the work. We have the Bedrock agent, so the MCP client understands the schema and makes the API calls. Okay, so let's take a little bit deeper dive into the schema and show you what's going on here. So like I said, I have really three deals going on in here. And so what we want to do is kind of take a look at what would I have. So right here, so in my JSON, I have the biggest thing here is the operation, right? The operation ID, which is list EC2 instances. And so we have that part here, so then it knows what to do. And then if we scroll down here, and of course I have the success and how I want it to look. And then if there's not, I think I have an error listing as well. And then the next part I have the get S3 buckets right here. So same thing, get S3 bucket info. So that's same thing in here. And then I kind of put down any other kind of information that we need to have to have the agent get. So I have that in here. And then from there, once again, if anything's missing, error messages and so on that I have here. Okay, and then we go in here into the CloudWatch, and the operation ID is get CloudWatch errors, right? So this is all pretty much read information, and right, there's no write if you want anything. So this can just strictly be a read or monitor or whatever that may be. It doesn't have to make any changes. You can set it up, and I do this in another video where I can actually have it create certain things, but this just tells you this right for right now. I just have this reading. So basically, when I ask the EC2 instances, or ask about EC2 instances, the agent looks up the path, it sees the operation ID, right? And then it knows to call the list EC2 instances function in the CloudOps assistant tool, which is Lambda, which of course I have up here that I call, right? So we can, there's different ways you can handle this, but this is the way we're going to handle this. But you could have several Lambda functions, several schema files, depending on the service, how you want to break it up, which is ideal because then you can test if something breaks. You don't have to change all the files. You can have just a certain schema file, let's just say for EC2s, and another one for S3, maybe for CloudOps configurations and so on. So that's how you can handle that, right? So that's the nice thing about that. Okay, now let's go to okay, so then we've kind of gone through here. So, and the other thing too, I just want to leave out that since this is in here, right, this is kind of like the short-term memory. So what's powerful about this is that the agent reads this schema, right, and once and then immediately understands all the tools available. So it's just like in any MCP, it looks at what tools are available. After that, it already knows and then knows what to do next. So you ask anything that's related to the services, like an EC2, it knows exactly which function to call. So once again, this is kind of like the MCP that you hear a lot about with other ones. This is all being done right now. Okay, so now let's take a look at the S3. I'm sorry, not the S3. The EC2. Let's look at the Lambda code here. Okay, so now let's go down to, let's see here. So let's go down to the Lambda function. Let's see, am I down here? Lambda function. I think. Okay, here's our Lambda function. Let me bring it up a little bit more. Let's take a look at that, change our view so we can see a little bit more. So here we have our Lambda handler, which is our Lambda function. And you can see here that this is kind of where it kind of parses the agent, what we're looking at, the action group, and so on. And then you can see here, as I just showed you in the schema, the list EC2 instances, the function name, the get CloudWatch, and the get S3 bucket, right? So these were all in here. And this is where the AgentCore talks to our Python code. So the agent sends a structured request with the function name and then of course the parameters, and then it routes it to the right function, which we have here. So this is kind of how this works. Okay, so now let's go take a look at. So we have the list EC2 instances, right? So let's go ahead and scroll up here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that, right? So we move up here to define the EC2 instances. So this is what we have right here. This is what we have set up for the EC2 instances. And you can see here, we list everything here. So here we ask for the parameters. We check everything out there. We have the Bodo3, the regions, the response, and then it kind of gives you everything that we need from here. So you got the instant name, the ID, the name, and this, I kind of showed you this when we showed that what wasn't working. And then basically what it does is does all that, and then it kind of formats it into a friendly output, and then sends all that back. And this is kind of how you're looking at. So this is what I was saying, is like it's not a natural language kind of chatbot. It kind of gets the information and then sends back what it's told to get back. So this kind of just shows you kind of how this all works. So this is kind of where the magic happens. We connect to AWS using the Bodo3. We call the real EC2 API. And then we kind of transform, this complex AWS response into a clean, structured data that the AI can understand and then present naturally back to us. So that's a nice part of how this all works. Okay, so now you understand how this works, and let me explain like kind of the architecture of why this is such a great thing here. So, unlike ChatGPT, which only knows training data from its cutoff date, the agent here accesses live AWS infrastructure data, right? So when you ask about costs, checking your actual bill. When you ask about instances, it's querying real-time data. The nice thing about this too is it's controllable and secure. So you define exactly what the agent can do through the schema and IAM permissions, right? So I didn't go into detail here, but there's definitely a lot of permissions that need to be set up. The EC2's got to be able to, or the Lambda function's got to be able to work with the EC2 and everything else, and the agent and Bedrock and so on. So just like anything else in AWS, you got to have permissions set up so so services can communicate with each other. And it's not bypassing the security, it's working within it. So the agent can only access what you explicitly allow through the standard AWS IAM goals, right? So like let's just say if you want database monitoring, you add a new Lambda function and update the schema. I want cost optimization, add cost analysis tools. Each function is a new skill for your agent. Architect scales from simple monitoring to a complex automation. So, and of course, I go into this in future videos and keep adding more to it, and so you can kind of see how it works. Okay, so I hope you like this video and kind of have a better idea of the Amazon Bedrock Core. And so in the next videos, I'm going to keep adding to this as well. So we're going to start breaking it down into components now and have different agents that'll do, or I guess one agent that'll kind of handle different Lambda functions. So for example, I may go into, like, let's just say the security posture of it. And so we can ask questions like, perform a security audit of my AWS environment. We're going to, show me all my public facing resources and security status, and find any kind of vulnerabilities that you may see. And this is all going to be done based on we're going to start using the knowledge base. So we're going to put knowledge base. We're going to start training it on AWS well architected, what AWS security, the proper procedures and security that you need to take into consideration when having something in an AWS environment. We're going to put that into the knowledge base. So then now your AWS Bedrock AgentCore agent is going to be trained on AWS security, best practices, and so on. So now when you ask those questions, it's going to check your environment. It's also going to check the knowledge base to see what's best, and the response is going to be able to tell you questions. Then if let's just say for an architecture optimization, we may set it up, what I'm going to do in the next video is we're going to say, analyze my architect for AWS well-architected framework, right? So once again, we'll have the framework in the knowledge base. So we'll be able to give you, check the posture and see what's going on in your AWS environment, and then bring that information back. I have another one that says, show me multi-region deployment opportunities. Find services that could benefit from serverless migration, right? So maybe you have some EC2s that are running that can actually go and be more of a serverless application instead. We can look at automation opportunities. We can say, analyze my architecture for the AWS well-architected framework. We could show me a multi-region deployment opportunity. We could do find services that could benefit from serverless migration. Show me opportunities for microservices. And the list goes on there. And then, of course, we could do even more. And as I do more videos, we're going to touch business intelligence. We're going to touch cross-service analysis, environment comparisons, predictive analysis, incident response, performance monitoring, and of course, what everybody loves, costs and billing as well. So be sure to subscribe so you get alerted on my next videos so you can learn more about this. Be sure to like this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.